Well, I've been cruising around the coast of the eastern U.S. and today I'm in Beaufort, South Carolina. Some people call it Beaufort. I've been trying to figure out the correct pronunciation, and on YouTube there's about 8 videos and they're evenly divided between the two pronunciations. I still haven't figured that out. And here's the waterway in front of the town, and there's a marina over here called Safe Harbor, and it's a beautiful old city. I love these southern cities because, well, the people are nice. I've run into 5 people today and 4 of them said good morning. I mean, like, you don't always see that, especially up north. And I love the architecture. Well, you can't really see it from here, but in the days before air conditioning, they built the homes to be cool, naturally cool, in the summer. And so they would have lots of porches and galleries, and people spent a lot of time out there. And I just love the old classical architecture. The cuisine here is really good too. A lot of seafood that comes out of these waterways and the nearby Atlantic Ocean. So it's got all the things that I like the most. Okay, so the guy with the blower is coming, so I'm going to try and get past him, and then we'll start our discussions about the top 3 things to do before starting serious shopping for a catamaran. Okay, so the number one thing you want to start early doing is seeing if you qualify for insurance. A lot of people contact us, and we spend a lot of time educating them, showing them the different models, and they're asking dozens of questions, and only to find out, I can't qualify for insurance. So we can help you make it a lot easier and quicker and get the lowest rates. If you contact us, we will coach you on how and where to get the lowest cost policies, because a lot of these companies will quote you like double what the market really is, and they'll swear up and down, oh, well, this is the lowest you're going to get, and rates have gone up. But no, you have to shop some more, and that's the way to find the best rates. You also have to understand that there are different companies specialize in different geographic areas around the world. So if you're looking to cruise the Caribbean, some of these European companies, they'll cover it, but they'll give you like double the premium. So, but you don't want to deal with them. You want to deal with a specialist in that area. Also, remember that there's 2 kinds of policies, really. There's what I call blue water policies, which insure you worldwide. You can go anywhere in the world, and they're generally more expensive. And then we have the coastal cruising policies. So that would be like with State Farm, Allstate, and Progressive, but they're limited to the continental U.S. and the near Bahamas. So you can save a lot of money if you go with them, and a lot of our customers will go with them at first, get some experience if they're newbies, and then what you can do is you can shop later for a blue water policy when you're ready to move further afield, and you can cancel the old policy simultaneously by booking the new one and save a lot of money, and you get a refund of unused premium. So we can coach you on how to get the best rates, and just remember that the blue water underwriters will look mostly at your ownership experience. They want to see at least 2 years experience owning a similar sized yacht. Well, what if you don't have any experience? What if you're a newbie? Well, okay, there are ways around this, and we can direct you to the underwriters who will bend those rules of thumb a little bit. And the other insurance companies that are specializing in the North American areas, they look mostly at your FICO scores and your loss ratio history. So they'll ask you questions like, well, have you had any losses in your home or your automobile or boat in the last 5 years? And you want to be able to say no. So we can direct you to the companies that specialize in the area and type of yachts and type of navigation area that you're going to be interested in being in. Okay, so that's insurance. Get that straightened out before you start serious shopping. Don't wait till the last minute. Sometimes it can take a week or two or 3 or 4 to find a good rate. And it pays to shop till you drop, okay? Just contact as many companies as you can stand, and that's the way to save money. Okay, so next on the list of the top 3 things to do before you start serious shopping for catamaran is, can I get financing if you need financing? Now, if you can avoid lenders, by all means do so. They complicate the closings, they put restrictions on you. They're a pain, but sometimes they're a necessary evil. So we can direct you to the lenders who can help your situation the best. And just remember that lenders generally want 20% down. They want to see your debt to income ratio at 35% or lower. They would like to see your FICO scores over 720, but we do have a few lenders that'll go down around 680 as an average between the 3 big FICO firms. But here's the main thing to remember, okay? There's about 12 lenders in North America right now that are active, but there's only 2 that do foreign loans. Well, what does that mean? Okay, that just means that the yacht in question is currently lying outside of the continental U.S. Now, the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, sometimes with some lenders also count. So if the yacht is there, like in St. Thomas, no problem. We can get that loan closed. And we do a lot of yachts in the BVI that just sail over 5 miles to St. Thomas for the closing. And that's how we solve that problem. So you see, we know all these tips that can help save time and money in these closings. Speaking of closings, lenders complicate closings by 300%, and they delay things. So, I mean, if you have all the money and you don't have to get a loan, and we just say, okay, you have the cash, that helps with the seller because he knows he can't be delayed. I've seen lenders delay closings by 3 and 4 weeks because they just keep asking you for more and more paperwork. Oh, send me these tax returns, send me the, we need to see the account balances in that bank and blah, blah, blah. Now, with an employee that gets a W-2 form, well, it's easy, okay? You can get approval pretty fast. But if you're self-employed or own your own business, not so fast. And I've seen it drag out 3-4 weeks for the approval. But when you get pre-qualified, it usually lasts 6 months, and then they check your FICO scores again, and they can extend it another 6 months. So I would get pre-approved before you start serious shopping, because sometimes they'll say something like, well, you don't pre-qualify for $400,000, but we can get you $350. So then you know what your budget is. And sometimes we even have a surprise in the other direction, which is, oh, well, you wanted to get pre-approved for $400. Well, we'll go up to $600. So that happens. And you want to match your situation with the right lender. So there's really only 2 foreign lenders out there out of the 12 total. And the reason you want to get approved with a foreign lender is because that's where the deals are, okay? That's where you save money, okay? On a $500,000 boat, if you buy it in, say, Grenada, Martinique, or Guadeloupe, you're going to get that for $50,000 less. You'll save $50,000 right there because, you see, in those islands, nobody hardly is walking the docks looking for boats, okay? But in the U.S., like in Fort Lauderdale, that's the place to sell because some owner versions will show them 60 times a month if it's a popular model, like a Leopard 40, Leopard 45, Lagoon 450, Lagoon 46, Lagoon 42. if there's an owner version, well, those are popular, and they will sell quickly. And so get that straight. Get your financing straightened out before you start serious catamaran shopping. Okay, that's tip number 2. Number 3 is, where will I dock or moor the yacht? Okay, because some people, they go through all these motions, they get pre-approved with financing, we find the right boat for them, and well, I just found out I wanted to be in South Florida, and the dockage has doubled in the last couple of years since I last checked. Well, so you want to go find the right place that's in the budget to keep the boat. Now, I can help you a lot because, I'm constantly exploring all the areas in the U.S., like this beautiful town of Beaufort, South Carolina. And there are some places along the East Coast, if you know where to go, where you can get some incredibly low dockage rates. Now, I'm not going to talk about them here because if the world finds out, it could destroy the deals, okay? But let me just say, there's some places where you can get live aboard docks for $400 a month with basic electricity and water, okay? And I'm happy to talk to you about that. If you're one of our clients, you're going to get all these tips about financing, closings, insurance, dockage, deliveries, whatever you need. That's what we help you with, okay? And so you want to get the dockage and or mooring fees straight before you buy the boat. And so I can help you. You just want to make sure you don't trigger any taxes, okay? And you want to think about that too. Actually, that's point number 4, which is you want a tax strategy that's going to save you money, because paying tax generally does not add any value whatsoever to your boat. And so save that money. I mean, instead of paying 7% to the state of Florida, get legally exempt and put that money in solar panel arrays or nice big battery banks or soft start air conditioners. And see, that's going to add value to your boat. Whereas taxes, that's just going to deplete your bank account and not help you. So I can design a tax strategy to make anybody totally tax-free. But there's usually strings attached with certain conditions, but they're usually not too onerous. And so taxes have to do with where is the boat now and where are you going to go with it in the following few years and how it's registered. So, for example, in the Caribbean, if you buy there and you just leave it there are no taxes down there. It's like the Wild West. It's a great place to be. And I highly recommend just buying one down there, keeping it down there, and the money you save from taxes, well, use that to buy airfare to bring you and your family down there to use a boat down there in paradise. It's already there, already ready to go. And we can show you some cheap ways to keep your boat down there. We have guardianage services down there. That is retired captains who will look after your boat. It's like $250 a month. And they'll go check the boat every couple of weeks, check the bilges, run the engines, turn on the electronics to burn the moisture out of the systems, and they'll keep your boat ready for you. Some of them even offer hurricane escape plans as part of their deal. So see, all these things are going to be tips that we're going to give you if you're one of our clients. And so, well, here's a view of the anchorage here in Beaufort. And I just love these southern towns. And then here's this is Bay Street over here. And boy, the houses are just beautiful. There's about a 20-foot ridge that runs along there. So those houses have survived all the hurricanes over the years. And it's just, I think, stunning around here. It's definitely worth a cruise. You know, I've cruised the Intercoastal several times, from New York to Florida and then parts of the Gulf Coast. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. A lot of these little towns, like this one, haven't changed in 200 years, at least in the old parts of town. And they have charm, they have good food, friendly people, and some of these towns even have a free town dock. Now you can't stay there forever, but 1, 2, 3 nights, that's fine. And they want you to patronize their restaurants, their other businesses, so they welcome you with open arms, unlike these big cities where everything costs an arm and a leg. So that's why I really love these parts of America. And so if you are interested in hooking up with us and seeing as many boats as we can show you in one day, we'd love to show you what we have, and we'll show you the bad and the good so that you get a one-day education that's invaluable. And we'll show you the bad and the good about each boat, because no boat's perfect, and we'll help you get the best deal. Just go to my website, largecatamaranceforsale.com. We can also send you actual selling price histories. These are lists of what boats have sold for. I have just about 98% of all the boats that have sold since 1998. And I send out a monthly report that has what sold last month in the world, 38 feet and older, because 38 feet and over. And because 38 feet is generally considered blue water capable, and under 38 is generally considered to be coastal cruisers. So if you want to get on that list, just send me your email address. I'll put you on the list. You get that every month. Around the first week in the month, I'll send those out. And so, well, I'm going to probably walk by a few of these structures near here and give you a little taste for what this town looks like. And so until we meet again, smooth sailing. Okay, so for you Power Cat fans, there's an Aquila 54. Look at the massive fly bridge they have on that. These are huge cruisers and have about as much room as a 75 or 80 foot monohull. And I really like them a lot, especially when they have Cummins diesels. The ones that come with Volvos, which 80% of them have, not so good. In North America, it's harder to find certified Volvo mechanics, and the parts cost 3 times as much as Yanmar and Cummins parts. So if you can find one with Cummins diesels, that's a good thing. Okay, there's a Leopard 43 Power Cat, and I really like these a lot. Leopards do 100,000 charter weeks a year, and so when you have boats that are used that much, they're tried and tested every day. And when they find out things that weren't quite designed right or don't work very well, they usually fix them right away. And so they get all this feedback that most of the other builders don't get, so that they end up being really good boats. And notice it has a high field dinghy. The charter managers tell me that high fields and ABs last the longest, and so I would recommend going with one of those two brands. And Mercury's, I'm not such a great fan of those, but I am of Yamahas, and Suzuki sometimes come with 6-year warranties, which I like. And Tohatsu's pretty good too. I understand Tohatsu makes the new Mercury, so maybe they're better than they used to be, but I've had a lot of bad luck with those things. Over here, let me see if I can aim this thing backwards. That's an Aquila 43, and I've sold 4 of these in the last year. The ones with Volvos had a few problems, even after we surveyed them and they were pronounced as being good. Well, in one case, the owner blew an engine 3 months later, bringing the boat from the BVI up to Florida. So be careful of those Volvos. They don't last as long as the others. Their parts cost 3 times what Yanmar and Cummins parts cost. And now, if you're in Europe, there's a Volvo mechanic on every corner, so to speak. But over here, not so much. And that's why if I was getting one of these, I would get the the ones that come with Cummins, which aren't as you don't see as many of them, but when you find one, that's the one you want to get. All right, there's the bow profile view of the Leopard 43, and these are made to be very low maintenance and easy to repair, because when they're doing their 100,000 charter weeks a year, you often have turnaround charters where they only get 24 hours to fix everything and clean the boat and refuel it and put new propane in there and new water in the tanks. And so they have to be well thought out, and they are, because of the intense charter use. And so now here is the equivalent Aquila 44, and there's Andy cleaning it. Hey Andy, how you doing? And he's keeping really good care of that boat. And I like these too, but mostly with the Cummins diesels, not the Volvos. Haven't had a lot of good luck in my charter companies with Volvos. And so there you go. There's some Power Cat tips. There's an anchor found in the bay. It looks like it's about 250 years old or so. Oh, there's another one right there. We have quite a collection here. So here's a typical southern house with galleries, where in the old days you would sleep on the second floor where it was cool, and the bugs, generally the mosquitoes and the no-see-ums, wouldn't fly higher than about 10 feet. So if you were up on that second floor and if you had a nice little sea breeze, that was a cool, pleasant place to spend the night. And this house over here, this is called the Secession House. It was owned by the Rhett family, and a lot of the discussions between the politicians and large business owners and plantation owners would meet here, and they discussed the reasons for wanting to secede from the Union, starting in the 1850s. So this is the house where it all started. You notice that the lower floor that's a form of concrete known as tabby, and it was impervious to rot, and that lower floor was usually where you stored your carriages, and horses would go in there in the winter when it was cold. And then the living quarters were, the main living room and dining room would be on this second floor here, and then that was the sleeping areas up top where it was cooler at night. And notice these beautiful live oak trees with Spanish moss. They call them live oaks because the leaves in the winter never turn brown and fall off like on other trees. There's another leaf. And they stay green. So they call that live oak. And so we have a little green area here overlooking Bay Street, which overlooks the bay and Port Royal Sound, because these are basically barrier islands that protect the mainland over there in the distance from hurricanes and storms, things like that, and provide a nice harbor for your vessel. And in the old days, the schooners would be docked out there with their freight, and they were deeper draft, usually 6-7 feet. So they'd have to stay out there. And then in the old days, cat rig boats, that's single sail, usually rectangular, would be like the pickup trucks of the day. So in colonial times, even through, when they got engines, it was all cat boats doing all the work. And, one person could sail it because it was simply rigged. And there's a view of Bay Street. And then here's a bed and breakfast over here, Cuthbert House Inn, B&B, with a beautiful view of the salt marshes and the bay, and looks really well maintained. And then here's a private home next door. And the salt marsh here is what serves as a nursery for fish and birds and all the wildlife around here. So South Carolina has more salt marsh than any other state. That's why they get lots of seafood around here. Let's see, let's go check this plaque out and see what it says about this house. This is called the Bluff House, also known as the Means Gauge House, circa 1790. It's on the National Historic Register. That beautiful fan window over the front door. These homes are pretty high maintenance. Oh, look at that beautiful oak tree. Wow. I'll bet you that's about 200 years old. The Spanish moss is pretty to look at. We had a lot of it in Louisiana, where I'm from. And my girlfriend and I, when we were 16, we, for Mardi Gras, became the moss people. So we got some long underwear and stapled the moss to the long underwear, and we spray painted it green. And we had it on our heads and everything. And so, but what we didn't realize is that Spanish moss is loaded with lice. And so after about 2 hours, I started itching. I asked my girlfriend, I said, "Hey, are you kind of itching?" And she said, "Yeah, I am." And so come to find out, it was loaded with lice. So we had to run home and take hot baths and put that stuff in the hot washer. There's another house here along Bay Street, beautiful, and I don't know what they call these palms. These are kind of interesting. I see all the big plantation homes had these. And this ridge that Bay Street is on is about 20 feet above sea level. So the settlers who came here first put their homes here first because for hurricane protection, the storm surge couldn't get this high. And usually storm surge, in my experience, living in Louisiana and Florida for most of my life, usually gets up as high as 15 feet. In some rare cases, it can go to 25 feet. Like my father had a home in Mississippi up the Jordan River on the water, and he left New Orleans after Katrina thinking, "Oh, this is 22 feet above sea level. It's never going to get me here." Well, another hurricane came and they had 4 feet of water in his house. That means it was up 22 feet. So, no, I'm sorry, it was up to 26 feet. So you gotta watch out around these hurricanes. And but you can learn from some of these houses that have been around a long time. Look, this house is beautiful. It's got galleries on 3 sides. So they did that so that, you know, if you're sleeping up there and there's a nice hanging bed, I don't know if you can see that. You could always catch a nice breeze and stay cool in the summer. Wow, these oaks are magnificent. And this street goes on for another mile, but I just like looking at these old homes and beautiful landscapes that you see around here. There's some French pots over there. The French were here for a while, and there are some French place names around here. Wow, nice big tree. That looks like a magnolia tree. I think they get their flowers, which are huge, in the spring, and they smell really nice. So here's a home, looks like about mid-1800s with a metal roof. They found that metal is the best thing for hurricanes, and also to prevent fires from spreading. And look at those nice gas lamps. It's beautiful at night to see that flickering against the wall. And we'll just go to another couple houses here just to give you a flavor of the place. I found in these older towns, they have an appreciation for good cuisine, and that you often find really good down-home cooking in some of these little towns. I guess because they've been here so long, they know what to do with the local ingredients, And wow, some of the panes of glass are really wavy, like in the old days. So I don't know if you can see that, but look at that wavy glass there. That's old. That pane has probably been there since the 1800s. And this ridge goes all the way around there and bends around there and runs way up there. So, you know, if you can have a house up high, you're gonna have good drainage, no flooding, and those big bad hurricanes can't get you. There's a beauty. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's a light there in the shape of a pineapple. So why do you see these pineapples everywhere in these old seaports? Well, in the old days, when a ship captain came back from their cruise or their trading voyage down in the Caribbean, they would bring back pineapples. Actually, they started coming from the Pacific. And when they got back, they would place a pineapple or two outside of the fence by the front door, and that would mean Captain so-and-so is back in town. And sometimes they would sell some of the pineapples that they brought back. And so a lot of these homes will have pineapple motifs. Wow, it's just one beautiful house after another, and that's got a lot of old glass in it, and you know, real shutters, not those fakey things. So when the hurricane would come, they just shuttered that thing up. Nice metal roof. I mean, these are people of means when you have a house like that. What a beautiful town. I highly recommend making a stop here. There's many more small towns like this that haven't changed in hundreds of years. And I think this makes a great cruise. It's actually pretty easy to do. And, you know, some people say, oh, well, I want to have a mast less than 65 feet so I can get under all the fixed bridges. Well, there's a few that are 55 or less. But all you have to do is look at your chart ahead for the day if you're going down the intercoastal, and then just see if there's any low bridges. And then what I would recommend is that you simply exit out of the intercoastal, go out in the ocean if the weather's nice, and just cruise down the coast for 10, 15 miles, get a little different perspective of the coast, and then you just cut back in and you miss that low bridge. And so you don't have to buy a yacht that has one of those cut down rigs. And I highly advise not to buy a yacht with a cut rigs. You know, some catamarans like the Lagoon 450s were offered with an optional gaff rig that was intercoastal friendly, because with a gaff rig you have a shorter, stubbier mainmast, and then the gaff gets the sail area up high. But of course, you can lower the gaff if you're going under a bridge. So that's my tip for the day. Don't get a stubby mast. It affects your sailing performance. Hello. Okay, so if anybody wants any tips about cruising around here, I'm happy to answer them. You know, this is all fun for me. I love coming to these places. I was here 40-something years ago when I first came, and we anchored out there and came in by dinghy and had a beautiful meal, and we wanted to stay longer, but alas, we had to move on and complete the delivery. So this is Gary Fretz signing off from Beaufort, otherwise known as Beaufort, South Carolina. And come see me on my website, largecatamaransforsale.com. We got plenty of resources for you, and I look forward to working with you. Smooth sailing. Hey, you don't have to be a gazillionaire to enjoy life here. You can have a nice little cottage like this one, or maybe this one, and watch the world go by from your porch. And they've got a mother-in-law suite back there in the back. I think this is called low country style. And I love the southern architecture. It really blends with nature and makes you want to be outside more. Nice. Okay, here's St. Helena's Church here on Church Street, built in 1722. And it's kind of hard to see through the moss and stuff, but surrounded by this peaceful cemetery and on this beautiful street. Here's a B&B called the Red House, where breakfast is being served on the front and side galleries. I think it's time to go get some breakfast. All right, for the rest of this video, I'm just going to show you a few of the highlights around the marina. And this is the Anchorage Inn. They're serving their breakfast out on the veranda. And then this Bay Street, running along the ridge by the salt marsh, has a lot of B&Bs and places to stay. And then now there's a Best Western that's also here, right in the heart of Old Town. And that looks like, if you want the hotel experience, that looks like the best located hotel. And so here's the salt marshes, and we're just going to walk down Bay Street for a few blocks and show you what's down there.